going the other way. And we wanted to learn more about our new community. I've always been involved in different things, and currently I'm an alternate member for the planning board for town of Matthews. And I've seen a few of you. I volunteered to, or actually I'm serving as on the board of elections and voting at Matthews Middle School. So I've seen a few of you, including Commissioner McCool with his very cool mask. So when Matthews 101 came along, I thought it was a great idea, great opportunity to learn more about the place I live and identify maybe more opportunities to get involved and serve.
Great. Thank you, Tom. Tylene Earnhardt.
Hi, Tylene Earnhardt here. I have lived here for 2 years. We moved from Denver, Colorado. My husband took a job here, and that's what brought us here. And we have 2 dogs. And I did this to learn more about our community and more how the different departments work and what they are in control of, and et cetera, what everyone else has said.
Thank you, Tylene. Cynthia Bailey.
Hi there. I live off of Sam Newell Road, not too far from Crown Point Elementary. My family and I, we moved here from Ohio about 8 years ago. I've said this before to the group. I did a lot of research before I moved here for my job, and Matthews just won out hands down compared to other communities in the Charlotte area. So I really like this area. One of the things that has stood out for me for Matthews 101 is the intention and the care that you all take to bring a diverse amount of events and activities through the Parks and Recreation, the cultural events. I really appreciate that. I also love the fact with the business development that I can literally spend my weekends shopping within Matthews. I don't have to go to a big box mall or go to the outlet malls. I can do all of my family shopping, my school shopping, my grocery shopping right here in the town that I live. So I really do appreciate that.
Thank you. If I can ask, what part of Ohio are you from? I'm from Ohio.
I'm from Columbus, Ohio.
Okay, I'm from the northern part, up around Strongsville and Cleveland, but I've been down here most of my life, but a lot of Ohioans down, a lot of Buckeyes ended up in Matthews. Do we have Taryn Kilbert? Nope. And John Robinson.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, and everyone else. It's good to see everybody. My family and I have lived in right across the border, actually, in Mint Hill, but we've been active in the Matthews community now for about 9 years, and wanting to become an expert in everything Matthews. I actually am in development stages of a new resident guide for the town of Matthews called Be Local Matthews, and wanting to learn as much as I can. I found the 2 sessions with our police chief and fire chief to be extremely interesting. Just all the responsibilities that their teams have and the inner workings of those 2 departments I found extremely interesting. And I appreciate everybody putting this on for us. Wish we could meet in person and look forward to getting back to those opportunities here in the near future. So thank you again.
Thank you, John. We usually do this over a nice dinner, and it's unfortunate that we can't this time. I'd like to maybe follow up and have the elected officials introduce ourselves to you so that you know who we are. And I'm John Higdon. I was a commissioner for 3 terms, and I ran for mayor last year and was elected mayor. So I've been an elected official in town for about 7 years. And I just want to say I really, really appreciate the fact that you guys took the time and effort to attend these classes and learn things, because I recall as a very active citizen, I've lived in Matthews since 2001. I would sometimes write letters or go speak before the board, not really knowing what all the rules and regulations were. So I wish I had the opportunity to learn more about the town. I might have sounded a little more intelligent when I was speaking to the board, but we really do appreciate all that you've done. I moved here in 2001. Prior to that, I lived right across the border in the Sardis Forest, across from the old Family Dollar area. I lived in that neighborhood for many years, and I grew up from about age 12 in Charlotte. So I'm a South Mecklenburg High School graduate and a North Carolina State graduate. And my wife and I have 2 grown children, Summer and Jed, and we love Matthews. So we'll just go around the horn here. We'll start with Mayor Pro Tem Garner. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Hi there, I'm Renee Garner, and I grew up in Matthews, and we live in the house that my grandfather built on John Street. I've got 2 kids and a whole menagerie of animals. This is my first term on the board, and I graduated from Matthews 101 2 years ago.
Great, thank you. I did want to make a comment that I didn't say where I live now. I live in the Ashley Creek neighborhood, which is right along adjacent to the 4 Mile Creek Greenway, and really love that neighborhood. It's a great part of town. We'll move on to Commissioner Whitley, Larry Whitley.
Well, let me say congratulations to all of you who have gone through this class, and it gives so much to let you know where Matthews is and just what we're all about, and I'm just so glad that you completed that class. I'm Commissioner Whitley. I'm on my 2nd term as commissioner. I am a retired captain with the North Carolina State Highway Patrol for over 30 years, been retired 17 years. I live in Matthews up on 51 up near Butler High School, Forest Ridge, Forest Crossing, subdivision, Reed Hockey Road. And so we have been here for 32 years next month. So I feel real fortunate to have lived in this town longer than I have anywhere else. But I'm so happy to have all of you, and I'm a part of the chamber with Jessica, and we're happy to have her, and she's doing a wonderful job. And so thank y'all again for taking an interest and joining and just enjoying the town of Matthews and all that we have to offer. God bless you.
Thank you, Commissioner Whitley. We'll move on to Commissioner Dave Bland.
Hello, I'm Dave Bland. I'm an attorney here in the town. My law firm, Weaver Bennett Bland. I moved to Matthews, I guess, in the mid-1980s. I moved to Pine Forest when I came here. I lived there in 2 different homes in Pine Forest. Then I moved over to Country Place, and I lived in Country Place for a while. And I bought a lot over in Stratfordshire. And then I got a house on Sardis Grove Lane, which is right off of Sardis Road. So I've been here for a long time. This is I think my 6th term on town council. I was on for a number of years in the 80s and early 90s. And my wife told me if I ran again, she was going to divorce me. So then I had to lay low for a while. And then I ran again this past time, and I was reelected. But this is a great place to live. I've lived here a long time. First time I ran, there was 500 registered voters in the town of Matthews. Now there's a whole bunch more. And I'm glad to see all you folks, and I'm welcome, and look forward to get a chance to meet all of you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bland. We'll move on to Commissioner John Urban.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming this evening. Thank you for participating in Matthews 101. It's a great opportunity for you to get an exposure to the town. Listening to everybody, it sounds like there was a window of 2 years to 8 years, so there's a lot of new blood in the community. I'm a local architect, have served now for the 5th term on the Town of Matthews board. I've been a resident of Matthews for 23 years, 4 daughters, 2 grandkids, 2 cats. I live off of Sam Newell and Williams Road in what's called Matthews Commons, but do appreciate Maureen and the staff putting this project together. It's probably now going on about 4 years, plus or minus. And I think it's really very good and very eye-opening to folks that want to get connected with the community. Thank you again.
Okay, we'll move on to Commissioner Ken McCool.
Good evening. I'm Commissioner Ken McCool. This is my first term on the board. I was appointed back in February. Lifelong Matthews resident, born in what was Matthews Presbyterian Hospital, now Novant Matthews. I love this town. I'm so glad, excuse me. I'm so glad you guys are getting involved and learning more. It's definitely a great thing when your citizens get involved and learn as much as they can. And I'm glad to see such a diverse group too of everyone. So very happy, and congratulations to all of you.
If anyone would like to comment on Commissioner McCool's tie, Be a good time. I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but he's got jack-o'-lanterns on his tie, so it's very festive tonight. Commissioner Jeff Miller.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, my name is Jeff Miller. I've moved to Matthews from Chicago, from the suburbs of Chicago in about 1999 to Matthews, and originally got involved through the Park and Rec Department between 2005 and 2007. During that time, the Greenway wasn't built, and I was fighting for the Greenway. I also live on the Greenway, and I was fighting for it, and it was a hard fight, but we have a lot to be proud of because it's one of the most popular amenities and parks in Matthews. It gets good usage, and I'm proud of that accomplishment. And I've been a commissioner now I was elected in 2007, so I'm going on my 14th year as a commissioner. I love the town of Matthews. I'm really excited about Matthews 101 and what you guys have just graduated. Congratulations. I hope you grow to love it as much as we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Miller. And I say this fairly often. I think some people like Commissioner Miller and some don't because he's the one who first encouraged me to run for elected office here. So thank you, Commissioner Miller.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, can I chime in real quick?
Sure.
So because of the way we have the audio set up in this room, the yellow box is always going to be around me, even if someone else is speaking. So especially with us wearing masks, it might be hard to tell who's talking. I don't know if that's an issue for anyone at home, but if it becomes an issue, just let us know and we can give a little wave so they know who's speaking. So.
Okay.
Thanks.
For the record, my voice is slightly deeper than Maureen's. Just kidding. So I thought what we could do is just kind of have an open discussion. And some of you may know that by my day job, I'm an engineer. And I've often told folks that engineers often get their very best ideas from consumers of the products that we design and manufacture. So that being said, I think perhaps those of you that have taken a peek behind the curtain into how Matthews runs may have some ideas on how we might do things better. We've all been here a long time, and maybe we can't see the forest for the trees. So you may have noticed something, or you may have some questions as to why we do something a certain way. So I'll just open it up to anyone. Please raise your hand. I'm not sure that I can see everyone. That's why I was calling all the names. So, or just chime in if you like. If you unmute yourself, if you have a question or a comment on how we might improve, or if you have a question for any one of the commissioners or myself, or town manager or Maureen, then please chime in.
This is Tom Dorsey. I've got a quick question, which is probably a very easy question, but here's my question. Why is it that when you all run for election or re-election, some of you run for town council and some of you run for the board of commissioners? I know it's all the same, but isn't that confusing?
Yeah.
I had to look it up.
Anybody want to answer that?
I thought it was different.
Well, we're all kind of shrugging our shoulders. I think the words are used interchangeably here. They do mean different things. I know in Chicago, what they have aldermen or alder persons.
Aldermen.
Okay.
Yeah. I think as a group, we're a council, and there's 6 commissioners and a mayor, but as a group, they refer to us as a council, I believe. Does anyone have another opinion on that?
That's as good an explanation as any. We're all kind of looking at each other going, I don't know. So.
Yeah, it's just that when you have different things on the signs, the election signs, it feels like it's 2 different things.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Oh, so-and-so is running for board of commissioners, but the other person's running for town council.
It's a good point, Tom.
Not a big deal, but interesting.
Anybody else have a question or a comment? Please chime in, because I don't know that many jokes to go for another half hour, so.
I have a question. Has Matthews always been nonpartisan?
As long as I can remember. Hazen, do you have a response to that? Town manager, Mr. Blodgett?
Yes, in North Carolina, a vast majority of the cities and towns are nonpartisan. There's a few exceptions, like Lincolnton as an example. So there's, generally speaking, it's a vast majority nonpartisan. But I'm not sure about Charlotte. Is Charlotte partisan? I don't know. Charlotte is, okay. But vast majority aren't.
We like to say we're Team M for Matthews. It doesn't matter whether Republican or Democrat. We kind of keep it local and just fight for the town.
Great.
And we generally have had a good mix of Republicans, Democrats, and independents and others throughout the years, so generally. So what really, again, I asked this at the top, but I'll ask it again. What really surprised you, or did you find something that seemed unusual, or perhaps we could do better?
I'll speak up. I mean, I guess I think there's always room for improvement, like
Sure.
for anybody. My experience, when you first called on me, for some reason I got all flustered, and so I didn't even answer half the questions you had asked. So I live right in downtown Matthews, by the way, and I've had to work with a lot of you. We've been in communication over the last several months due to an empty lot across the street from my house. And it's been really interesting. I really appreciate, I think you all do a very well job of responding in a timely manner when someone sends you emails. And that's, as someone who lives here, I really appreciate that. So I think you're doing that well. And the ability to like reach out to you guys and ask questions, I think that you're doing well on that too. An area of improvement would be to just continue to advocate for trees and for space and for, not so much build. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. That's a perspective we hear pretty often, I think. Mm-hmm. Other questions or comments?
And so it was very interesting to learn about some rules and ways that your hands are tied in some respects that I hadn't ever known about. But I think probably about 2 years, I went in and I spoke to some people about starting our shop in downtown Matthews, kind of that green space that's down at by the library, where I think they want to make parking eventually and such. And there were some weird rules on the books. So we either needed to be a street cart sort of thing, and we could be somewhere for 40 days, I think, or something like that. And so it was just interesting to learn about these strange rules that were around. And I feel like sometimes could hinder small businesses. I mean, the team was amazing and really helped to give us some insight. So we settled into a spot. But it's just these weird rules that are on the books that you don't really look at until somebody's trying to grow or add value, because we're an ice cream shop. So it's kind of something a little bit different. It's not a bar. It's something that kids can come and enjoy too. So that was just one thing. And to be honest, I didn't look into how to change it or what to do about that, because we found another avenue that worked for us. But that was just something as a small business owner, I was like, if they could make it a little bit easier to fit in with the community and to add something. Because, even a pop-up shop in the holidays, we used to live in New York City, and Bryant Park would have pop-up shops for the holiday season. And it was a great way for local vendors to showcase what they do. And I was like, that would be so great. Maybe after COVID or something, but.
Yeah, I recall a couple years ago, my family and I traveled to Europe, and we were in the Czech Republic and in Germany and all those areas that have all the pop-up Christmas markets, which are phenomenal and huge tourist destinations, generate a lot of income for the communities they're in. Hazen, would you care to comment on the rules that regarding, I don't know much about that particular case.
I can only speculate. The lot is part of a downtown development plan that's got a lot of conditional uses on it. That's the only thing I can think of. The parcel that y'all are at now was an out parcel that was not associated with any development plan that we did, close to 20 years ago now. But I mean, we'd be happy to look into it more, Janelle, if you wanted to, but it sounds like from your perspective, y'all are satisfied where you're at.
Yeah, we're good. It's just sometimes we talk to other businesses and they're kind of curious how to get downtown. And I mean, I pass them along to the right people. So if they ever reach out, I'm not sure, but.
Great, thank you, Janelle.
Can I comment on that before we move on?
Absolutely.
I think it's interesting the way that you've taken that space behind Moe's and really made it into a shop, and I think really one of the things we struggle with as a board is that the property value in Matthews is going up. And so it's hard for small businesses to come into downtown and find a space. And you guys have done a really good job finding a solution to that. But as a board, we do talk about that often, about how we can foster smaller, just starting businesses and give them an opportunity to take part in what's popular about downtown Matthews.
Yeah, and I do have some ideas about that, I guess, more so than I thought. Specific 500 square feet of space would be amazing because anything is just too expensive. We source local, so our product costs us a lot of money to make, but we feel like that's really important to do. So yeah, we were just looking for something small. There's a lot of people though, because we do source local. For some reason, we've now become kind of a knowledgeable expert, people assume, about how to get into a market, and they're, small mom and pop people doing their crafts or whatever they're doing. And it's not feasible for them to be in those areas downtown. It's just too expensive, but they're also really big.
Yeah, we certainly want to foster local businesses as much as possible. I was with a friend not too long ago in Denver, Colorado, and he said, and he's from North Carolina, he said, if you close your eyes, this could be Charlotte. And it's, same, JCPenney, all the same stores, Gap, Baby Gap, it's all the same stuff, McDonald's, Burger King. So what really gives a small town its flavor and character is some of the local businesses. So we love to have as many local, and we want to encourage our residents to patronize those businesses as much as possible so that you can stay open, because we love them. It really gives our town a good flavor.
Mayor, keeping on the theme of a vibrant downtown, with parking limited, in order to draw more foot traffic, et cetera, it makes sense to bring in residents from the surrounding neighborhoods, make it walkable, accessible, et cetera. What are your thoughts and the rest of council around how we can invest in infrastructure, sidewalks, lighting, crosswalks, the things that will draw nearby residents, make them feel safe, draw them into the downtown corridor?
Well, we've certainly made efforts to do quite a bit of that. Almost all the latest developments that we have as part of their conditional rezoning, they've agreed to build greenways and things of that nature. Would any of the other commissioners care to comment? Commissioner Urban.
I think Commissioner Gardner had her hand up as well, but I mean, the town's been very aggressive in looking at pedestrian-friendly technologies. We did a parking study, which tells us that we're 100% packed on Matthews Station Street, but we're 40% utilized when you go one block out. So we have a perception of a parking problem. We just need people to walk a little bit further to get to the parking. We've had some good success in bringing very residential living, apartment living in downtown, which has got heads on beds, which makes it more viable for businesses to open here. So, I always say to people, if you were here in less than 10 years, there has been a huge rebirth in downtown. And I think, Bill, it's hard to tell, but it looks like you're in a very new facility, and it almost looks like an apartment building or a condo. Where are you located at?
So I'm on Main Street. It's new construction. So there were 5 houses built here about 2 years ago.
Okay, so the fact is that you wanted to be downtown, and we had discussions about adding and increasing sidewalks and all, but at the end of the day, one of the bigger problems, and Hazen can attest to this, is the dollars and cents and the money to put it all together. We've been discussing bond referendums and things like that to kind of jumpstart these kind of projects, and I think we have to continue to do that process and get buy-in from the citizens.
Thanks.
Renee, did you have a comment?
I do. So there are also several plans in the works. Like there's a sidewalk plan that would prioritizes completing certain sidewalks that are where sections are missing. There's a bicycle mobility plan for adding sharrows. No, I don't know if Dana or Susan explained that to you, but adding more bicycle friendly facilities to Matthews. But then also serving on as an alternate on the MTC, which is the Metropolitan Transportation Committee, with Mayor Higdon. We've had an opportunity to talk to John Lewis, the president of CATS, and we've been really encouraging CATS to look at bringing last mile microtransit to Matthews. And so it would be almost like having CATS Uber, and the small buses would loop around through downtown and up around Weddington and McKee and Pleasant Plains. And that would really, I feel like, be a draw for a lot of people.
Yeah, just to add on to that, I was thinking about that as you guys were answering, and there are several huge groups of stakeholders that are meeting. Harvey Gantt is leading one of them and preparing a report for Mayor Vi Lyles in Charlotte, but it includes all the outlying areas, and it really concentrates on multimodal transportation. And just in the Charlotte area, there's about 250,000 people that don't drive, period. So they either have to take public transportation or walk or ride bicycles. And so we're always looking for opportunities to expand things other than getting in a car and driving. And I think bicycles are a huge part of our future. I shared a picture with my fellow commissioners here recently when I went to San Juan, Puerto Rico, and they build a dedicated lane that's nearly as wide as an entire road lane for just bicycles, and they paint it bright green, and it has you can go north or south or whatever on them. It's just an incredible amount of infrastructure to encourage people to walk and ride bikes instead of getting in their cars. And as we run out of land, a lot of these higher density developments that are being built, all are built with the thoughts of they're being built in places that would encourage people to walk to grocery stores, dry cleaners, post office, church, or ride a bike, etc. So would any other commissioner care to comment on that? Commissioner Miller?
Regarding pedestrian safety, years ago, before Seaboard was built and Brakeman's was popular and that side of Trade Street became popular, it was mostly in Matthews Station Street and on the other side. And little by little, as people started walking across, we realized that we needed to increase the intersection of the visibility of the intersection of Trade Street and Matthews Station Street, and that was just completed. And there might be a small punch list of items that are in need of repair or whatever, but the lighting and the pedestrian safety was a priority there, as well as we're changing over from mercury vapor lighting and street lamps to LED throughout the town, phasing in, starting at the downtown and going out, as well as what Renee said, connectivity and sidewalks. We've identified the gaps where sidewalks didn't continue, and we're filling those in and widening them to create a loop. Again, the Greenway will go under Trade Street after they finish that bridge, and I agree that pedestrian connectivity is been a priority for for this board, and thank you for bringing it up.
And one other comment on that, I'm happy to see that our town employees have gone out and identified areas, even on our sidewalks, where maybe a section of sidewalk is lifted or dipped and it creates a trip hazard. They've gone in there and repaired those or ground them off or made them more level so that that's not a problem. So there's a huge concentration. And as I mentioned, I live on the 4 Mile Greenway. My office overlooks the Greenway, and the pedestrian and bicycle traffic is just phenomenal. It's really gone up since COVID, to be honest, but there must be thousands of people that use that Greenway every day, because it's just from the time, I get up in the morning, it's 6 a.m. till dark, I see people walking on the Greenway and enjoying the outdoors. So
I think Larry has a comment.
Commissioner Whitley.
Yeah, Bill, that's a good question. One thing I'm proud of, and is still under process, Crestdale Heritage, that leads from downtown, come all the way down Matthew School Road, Crestdale Road, Matthew Chapel Road, and then go all the way down to the sports complex, and even going out to back East John Street. But it's a beautiful 10-foot wide walkway, and get a lot of visitors. And I was just on the meeting today on signage, our heritage and history of Railroad, Stomptown, Tanktown, and Crestdale, the church. And it comes by my church. So when you get an opportunity to walk, when you get down from Matthew Chapel and Crestdale, the church is right there, but they're in the process of widening it all the way through. But I'm excited, and I know the town is, but it's just good connectivity to be able to walk from the Crestdale community. And Crestdale, Bill, is probably one of the oldest African-American neighborhood in the state of North Carolina. There's a lot of good heritage. And once they get all these signs up, I think it behoove all of us just to walk and to look and see the history of where the town apart. And it is a good thing, Bill. So get a chance, walk through there and see old white Silverado pickup at the church. Stop in, I'm there.
I will. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, I think we've had conversations with my fellow elected officials and staff, Town Manager Blodgett and our Planning Director, Jay Camp. And I think the ultimate goal would be for any of our citizens, and particularly our kids, to be able to get on a bicycle and ride just about anywhere in town safely without having to cross some major thoroughfare, be on a safe greenway or sidewalk. That's kind of the ultimate goal, and we're getting there piece by piece. But there's been an incredible amount of infrastructure built lately in Matthews of that type of greenways. And one thing I should note, and you guys probably figure this out from Matthews 101, is those are not inexpensive. They're sometimes upwards of $1 million a mile to lay down these greenways, so they can cost a lot of money. Commissioner McCool.
Kind of to piggyback off of that is, us working on making Matthews more walkable also has another effect. It makes Matthews more affordable because you don't have to have a car to go from point A to point B. There's a lot of communities in the area where people can walk to work, their kids can walk to school, walk to restaurants, walk to a doctor's office. And I think that's something that we as a board, when we work towards making Matthews, easily connected, it'll allow people to not have to own a car, which is, makes it more affordable to live here, which is something that's really, really exciting.
And my son recently shared with me a short video that, and I talked about it briefly with our town manager, was comparing Toronto, Canada, and Charlotte, and how they developed their mass transit system, their buses and light rail, et cetera, to connect the suburbs together, because sometimes people want to go from Matthews to Pineville or Matthews to Belmont or whatever. And mostly in the Carolinas and in America, we've built our infrastructure only for the big towns. So we have a very, very robust, mass transit system in Charlotte. But if you're right outside of Charlotte, of course, we get some good CATS coverage here in Matthews, but just in general, the focus for decades has been on the big cities, Miami, Charlotte, Cleveland, New York, and kind of forgot about the outlying areas like Matthews. So it's kind of an interesting perspective. They have a much better way to get around without getting in your car in Toronto than we do in Charlotte. It's something to look at.
Mayor, I'd like to make a quick comment. This is Hazen, but maybe we're beating a dead horse. But from my perspective, and I have been around for a long time, is that there's always pressure, financial pressures, right? There's all these competing needs, and like our tax rate is 28 cents per $100 evaluation. So if you have a $300,000 house, you'd pay less than $800 of town tax. And like, it sounds like this group, my sense is like, oh, we love that thing. That's a cool idea, being able to get around without being in a car. But when it comes down to budget time, and let's say there's a proposal to raise taxes, the board, kind of the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So if folks are in favor of that and are comfortable with tax increases to go for those kind of things, my advice would be to stay connected, stay involved, because it's much easier, I think, for kind of the naysayers, no, taxes are bad, don't raise taxes. Whereas I do think at a local level, you can reach out and touch, oh, well, this tax increase went for this in my community, it makes my quality of life better. So my advice would be stay engaged and have your voices be heard.
I think one of the things that really shocked me when I became more involved with the town is how small our budget is. If you think about it, we have how many employees now, Hazen? 160? About 160 employees that complete, police and fire departments, administration, planning, public works, and we're trying to pave about 100 miles of town-owned streets, and we have, all the other things, parks, all the programs we try to put on. And our entire budget's about $25 million, which sounds like a ton of money till you sit up here on this dais and try to dole it out equitably. Right. It's not an easy thing to do at all, and it's like, wow, we need a little bit more money. Of course, we don't want to raise taxes, so it's tough. There are a lot of asks, a lot of wants, and we have to try to prioritize them, and we just can't do everything. I suspect that sometime in the near future, we'll have a bond referendum dedicated towards some of these transportation projects. I'm sorry? Okay, Kathy, I'm sorry.
I actually just wanted to chime in on this great discussion here on connectivity. I think you're spot on, really, when it comes to the growth that our town is having. It just only means increased traffic. So the more that you can get people getting out on, walking, bicycling, and then the next step, even trying to connect the light rail. I know me personally, when I moved to Matthews, I wanted to live here because my kids were in elementary, middle, and high school at the time that we moved here. And the schools just were the best option for me. But I worked in Uptown. So working in Uptown on a budget, and having to pay per day for parking because work didn't offer that to me, then it was like $5 or $7 per day to park up there. But now, geez, you're getting into the $20 to $25 per day. So I did for a little while take the CATS bus system, and it was great. The express bus going in and out was wonderful. But then I got that one call that one day my son was sick at school, and I had to catch the local bus. And boy, did it take so much longer to get to him than if I had a car there and if I was driving, or if there was a light rail option at the time, and there wasn't. So I think that, going back to your other question earlier, what's most surprising is how long it's going to take for this, light rail to possibly come out here to Matthews. And the more we can kind of support that option would definitely open up a lot more opportunities for other families who do work in Uptown and are trying to work on a budget. So I'm a huge advocate of that option coming to Matthews and think it's going to be a great thing for us. I know there's a lot of pros and cons, and I work for a huge engineering, procurement, construction company, so I know these things take a lot of time. But yeah, the more we can just keep advocating for those things, the sooner we'll see them come to fruition.
I'd just like to add that as a young man, before I got married, my first job out of college, I worked for the Census Bureau downtown Charlotte, and I took an express bus, and man, it was great. But I didn't have any kids or wife to worry about. But just to get on a bus, let somebody else fight the traffic, and it was a pretty quick ride into downtown. I would like to say, Mayor Pro Tem Garner mentioned that she and I serve on the Charlotte Regional Transportation Planning Organization and the Metropolitan Transit Commission. And I will say with Cats in CEO and President John Lewis, we have a very capable and awesome leader that's pushing the Silver Line to be built as fast as possible, because I jokingly, one of the last times I saw him in person, I said, I'm not a young guy. Am I going to be alive when this thing's built? Am I going to be able to ride on it? And they have a window of about a decade, which is just unbelievably fast when you look at
2030. I was like, what?
2030, and they are screaming, moving forward with lots of engineering work. And you probably know that we have a stakeholder group that's active in Matthews that's helping us try to decide what the best route through town would be. But I don't know if they're going to make 2030, but I'm pretty confident it's not going to be much later than that if we get the funding. And of course, the Silver Line is being started out as a $3 billion project, then it went to 6, then 9. The last I heard was 12. They better hurry and get it built, or it'll cost $100 billion or something. But I'm really happy with John Lewis's leadership, and there's some great people that work at Cats, and they're pushing that project as hard as they can, I think.
Good to know. Thank you.
We're winding down here. We have go ahead, Tom.
Okay, so just two quick things. First, there was a little bit of discussion about parking and stuff. You probably are aware that, or have seen, Charlotte just approved the rezoning of a multifamily parcel downtown. I think it's intended more for affordable housing, but I believe it's over 100 units, and it may have 6 parking spaces. No parking. So that'll be an interesting experiment to follow. But my comment is, looking back to what we just went through the last several weeks, I think all of us were impressed that the team that supports the town is absolutely very competent and dedicated. And for the most part, they seem to be lean and mean, I'll say. And this might be more of a Hazen question, but I wonder. I'm sure there are metrics that say how big a certain area ought to be. Maybe it's tied to population. Maybe it's tied to something else. But thought occurs to me. Although you certainly don't want to be fiscally irresponsible, if there was some increase in staff and more increase in staff in selected areas, maybe that would create an opportunity to improve or add services. Just a thought.
I think
you're encouraging
Tom. Yeah, you are. We need to hire you, but it is a dilemma. I mean, I've been here 18 years. The board has always been fiscally frugal, conservative, and that's a very good thing. But you guys as residents, and the board too, expects top-notch services. And, we want to be smart about it, but we've gone through the Great Recession. Then we went through a reval. I don't know if y'all remember that we then ended up rebating people back. It took several years to kind of get our steam up again. And then of course, COVID's hit. But I do think we're at a tipping point that we need to seriously consider raising taxes to continue to provide an equal level of service. Because you guys are right. The people that you talk to, and I know them, they are super qualified. They're super dedicated. They love what they do. They love the town. The town also is very complimentary of our staff, which kind of has a perpetuating thing that our folks want to work hard because they know that the board recognizes the staff. So, but I think we're very close to the end of that cycle of just getting blood out of a turnip.
I will say, as mayor and elected official for the last 7 years, that when our town manager comes to us and says he needs more people, he usually does, because he's about as fiscally conservative as we are. So he doesn't ask to pad the rolls. I mean, when he asks for something, he usually needs it, or always needs it, I would say. Are there any other questions or comments? We're going to recognize you guys in our regular meeting in a few minutes. Again,
and it might be kind
sure,
of
Janelle, go ahead.
So my apologies. But COVID, how do you see that impacting the town, the small businesses, kind of the tax base and such. Like we own a small business. I'm fortunate that I also work full time for a bank. So, our business will be okay. But, on a daily basis, we're talking with our neighbors and everybody's struggling a little bit. And I don't mean so much how has the town worked with the local businesses, but just the town functions. How do you foresee, tax revenue potentially decreasing from this or anything like that?
Hazen, again, would you care to take that regarding tax revenue? Of course, COVID's been terrible for many of our businesses, and all of the elected leaders have been encouraging our residents to patronize local businesses whenever possible, especially, as they start to open up. Some of our businesses, like some of our bars, have not been open in 6 months. So you can imagine having zero income for 6 months and trying to run a business. Hazen? First of all, we do get about 60% of our budget is from the property tax. And the good news about the property tax is it's very stable, so that even though we're going through tough times, everybody's house value is based on the tax records, and that doesn't get, it doesn't go down 1% because the economy's going down 1%. So that is our major funding source. Sales tax is our second one. And we have not seen, now we budgeted very conservatively, but we have not seen a dip. And I think, Mayor, you're in touch with kind of the other towns around the country or state, and some of them are really, really worried. I do think some of it's our location economically. We're doing as well as probably anybody in the country. And, I go out, like the Loyalist market, which is really a great place, and Chris there, who's super friendly, he said they've been doing okay, right? I mean, he gives top quality service, and when they were locked down, they were serving us people at the door. So it does feel like folks have retooled. I don't know how long they can do it though. It does. I mean, cases are up. I think we hear it internally, and it is demoralizing. But we are doing okay to this point. One of the things that people that I think predated all of us that are elected officials now was the thought that our town would not get into the utility business. So we don't own, we're not selling electricity, water, or even some of our friends and neighbors got in the cable TV business and lost a lot of money. Some towns in the eastern part of the state that do offer utility services and have many, many customers that can't pay are really struggling, trying to run a water and sewer department with 25% of your usual income, things like that. So some of those towns are in really bad shape. We're blessed that we're not in that business, and I think we really are in an economic hub, being near Charlotte, the little town next to us. So we're doing okay. All right, I think we're going to take a quick break before we go into our regular meeting, but thanks so much again. Would any commissioner like to add another final comment? I'm seeing no, so thank you so much. We appreciate you, and I'm going to recognize you in a few minutes, and so we're going to take a break and jump back on a little bit. Maureen, do you have anything final? No. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.